few guys who have volunteered to come help us out, and so we're going to act out a part of this work to get the stage of what's happening here. So those guys go ahead and bring on up their chairs and bring their books up as well, so they can read some parts with us, and they're going to need a mic as well, so make sure that we have a mic for them when they come up. All right. The story is being set. We have an ancient mariner. Of course, a mariner is what profession class? A sailor. Good. So we have an ancient sailor who's going to come, and he's going to tell a story to a wedding guest. One of these guys has agreed to be the ancient mariner, and the other one has agreed to be the wedding guest. So which one of you are the ancient mariner? All right, Jamir, is the mariner, and Micah is going to be the wedding guest. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading here, and then I'll have you read a few lines. We're on page 252, so go ahead and follow along with us as we read. All right, so we have the setting set. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of the three, meaning one of the three wedding guests, and the ancient mariner says what? Go ahead, ancient mariner.
By thy long gray beard and glittering eye, now therefore why stoppest thou me?
Yeah, so he basically says, I'm sorry, I got that confused. That's actually the wedding guest that's speaking, I'm sorry. So the wedding guest is speaking, to the mariner, and he says, go ahead and read that part again, Mike, I'm sorry.
By thy long gray beard and glittering eye, now wherefore thou stoppest me.
Right, there's something in his eye that is drawing his attention. He knows that there's a story that he has to tell. So he is actually on his way to a wedding, and something in his eye catches his eye. All right, keep going here. The bridegroom's doors, wedding guest.
The bridegroom's doors are open wide, and I am thy next of kin. Thy guests are met, the feast is set, and mayest hear thy merry din.
So he's saying, I gotta get to this wedding, my next of kin is getting married, this is gonna be bad if I miss it. And then the mariner holds him with his skinny hand. Good, all right, and he says what?
There was a ship,
quoth he. And then the wedding guest says,
hold off. Unhand me, graybeard loon.
So he says, get your hand off me. Yes, graybeard loon. And so his hand dropped he. All right, let's look across the page at the next part. By the way, this next stanza, a lot of people believe Wordsworth actually wrote this next stanza. Wordsworth did collaborate with him a little bit. So the wedding guest is going, the mariner is going to hold the wedding guest's attention with his glittering eye. Give him a glittering eye. All right, very good. All right, so go ahead and read that stanza there.
Me?
Yes.
He holds him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still, and listens like a 3 years child. The mariner hath his will.
Yeah, so the wedding guest can tell there's something about the way this guy's looking that's going to be a really good story. Let's see what it is. And he sits like a 3-year-old child wanting to hear the story. All right, it says, the wedding guest sat on a stone. He cannot choose but hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. All right, go ahead.
The ship was cheered. The harbor cleared. Merrily did we drop below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top.
All right, you notice why we said below the kirk, of course, means the church, below the hill, but below the lighthouse drop. He's talking about things getting out of perspective as you sail farther and farther away. Keep going.
The sun came up upon the left. Out of the sea came he, and he shone bright. And on the right went down into the sea.
All right, good. Don't miss what's being said here. Think about this for a second. If the sun is coming up on the left, as Jamir said, and going down on the right, what direction are they traveling? Class? You might have to think about it for a second. South. Yes, they're traveling south. So that's going to be clear there. Yes. If the sun comes up on the left and sets on the right, they're traveling south. All right, keep going.
Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at noon. The wedding guest here beat his breast. Beat your breast. Yes. All right. Now, for he heard the loud bassoon. So, Micah, why are you upset? Why are you beating your breast? What is the wedding guest so upset about? What are you missing?
He's missing his wedding.
Yes, he's sort of torn. He's like, oh no, what do I do? I want to hear this story, but yet at the same time, I can't miss the wedding. This is not good. What am I going to do? All right, keep going. The bride hath paced into the hall. Red as a rose is she. Now, any girls want to think why the bride is red as a rose? Esther, you have any ideas? You can stay seated.
Because it's her wedding and he's messing it up by not being
Yeah,
there.
so she's furious. She's red as a rose. She's furious. He's missing the wedding. Shame on you, Micah. All right, keep going.
Who?
I'm sorry. Red as a rose is she, nodding their heads before she goes, the merry minstrelsy or singers. The wedding guest, he beat his breast again. Good. He cannot choose but hear, and thus spake on the ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. All right, keep speaking.
And now the storm blast came, and he was tyrannous and strong. He struck with o'er-taking wings, and chased the south along, with sloping moss and dipping prow, as who pursued with yelling blow. Still treads the shadow of his foe, and forward bends his head. The ship drove fast, loud rolled the blast, and southward aye we fled.
Good, keep rowing.
And now there came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold. and an ice mast came floating by, as green as emerald.
All right, good. Now notice that just for a second before you flip the page, they're going so far south, now they're in the polar regions by the South Pole. And notice Coleridge did a lot of research before he wrote this. He said the ice was as green as emerald. Now Coleridge really hadn't been on the sea before he wrote this, but it's been said that if you're in polar regions, the ice appears green. So very good detail that he incorporated there. All right, flip the page and keep going.
And through the drifts, through the snowy cliffs, descended this machine. Nor shapes of men, nor beasts we ken. The ice was all between. The ice was here. The ice was there. The ice was all around. It crackled and growled and roared and howled like noises in a swound.
Great job. And once again, great detail by Coleridge. Often in polar regions where there's a lot of ice, you can hear the ice cracking and popping and things like that. All right, across the page. Keep going.
At length it crossed an albatross. Thorough the fog it came, as if it had been a Christian soul. We held it in God's name.
Good.
It ate the food it ne'er had eat, and round it flew. The ice it split with a thunder fit. The helmet steered us through, and the good south wind sprung up behind. The albatross did follow, and every day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. And mist or cloud on master shroud, it perched for vespers 9, while all night, though fog, smoke white, glimmered the white moonshine. God saved.
Oh, no. All right, stop right there just for a second. So he's talking about the albatross, and all of a sudden when he starts speaking, you get this look of horror in your face. Go ahead, look of horror. All right, and so you see that look of horror in his face, and you say,
God save thee, ancient mariner, from thy fins that plague thee thus. Why lookest thou so?
and with regret he says,
With my crossbow, I shot the albatross.
all right, so he has this great regret. I shot the albatross. Now notice what the albatross have been doing. It brought them a good south wind to drive them north. They wanted to keep going north to get out of the polar regions. So imagine they went down the bottom of the earth and they're going to come up north around the other side. Now, albatrosses really were a sign of a good omen or a good sign for sailors. Some sailors even had the weird belief that when someone died on board and they swept overboard, that the person's soul was re-inhabited by the albatross, and the albatross was continuing with the ship. So it was almost like a pet that they had with them. They were big birds, too. You see a picture there on the page. Really, some albatrosses even were a lot bigger than that, had an 11-foot wingspan. So they're a big bird that traveled with them. All right, anyway, he shot the albatross. Now he's going to regret it. Keep going.
The sun now rose upon the right. Out of the sea came he, still hidden mist, and on the left went down into the sea.
Good, so now they're going north. Keep going.
And the good south wind still blew behind, but no sweet bird did follow, nor any day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. And I had done a hellish thing, and it would work 'em woe. For all I've heard, I had killed the bird that made the breeze to blow.
Thank you. You guys can have a seat. We'll stop there for a second. Let me go ahead and summarize what happens.